Hi, I hope everyone is doing well. This will be our new fencing class from now on. I'll post little 10-minute videos showing a new skill or exercise, and then you can combine that with the things that we've already done in class, like the warm-up drills and whatnot, to make it an actual exercise. Because exercising is a good thing to do when you can't leave your house. So, this is my basement. I don't do any video stuff, so it's propped up on a pillow. I'm gonna work with what we have. Today I'm just gonna be going over basics. So if you need a reference video of how something is done, this will be it. And you can also use it to teach other people in your household if you're trying to, make a partner to have someone to fence with, because that's always a lot better than doing it alone. Even if you're just doing drills together or using sticks or whatever. We were going to give you guys the dowels, but there was really no good time to have everyone together since we had to move out and scoot. So, reviewing the basics, this is a foil, obviously. And I'd encourage you all to practice, even if you're just doing footwork, while holding the foil to build up that muscle memory. And just get used to the weight in your hand. So our on guard stance, you take your dominant foot and your dominant hand that holds the foil, and you're going to step out about the distance of one of your feet apart from each other. Your non-dominant side, so this is my left side, my toe is going to be perpendicular to my front foot, so it's pointing towards the camera. This foot is pointing towards this wall. I have my weapon in my dominant hand, and then I'm going to bend my knees until I can't see my toes. So right now I'm just looking over, I can't see them. My hips and shoulders are going to be facing whichever direction my non-dominant foot is facing, so right now they're facing you. I'm still keeping my knees bent, my toes are in an L stance, it's perpendicular, 90 degrees. My shoulders and hips are centered above each other, and I'm going to roll my hips under me just a little bit, so I'm sort of sitting back in a chair. My non-weapon hand sits on my hip, or it is up here. It just sort of flops around and hangs out. But if you notice, my shoulders are in line, so I make the thinnest amount of surface area I can with my body. My non-weapon hand is hidden, so it won't be in the way. And my head is turned over this shoulder, which is my dominant side, towards my opponent. My knees are bent, my hips are tucked under me, and my weapon hand, I hold it with the pommel in my wrist. Hold on. Okay, so pommel is in my wrist. I have my thumb and my index finger as the main source of pressure holding the pommel against my wrist. So this is where most of your movement and manipulation of the tip comes from, your thumb and your index finger. The rest of your fingers, they're just hanging out. They wrap around, they sort of help to pull this in, but they're just sort of a guideline. Now, with my, there's the camera. With my fingers, I have sort of a gap between here and here, so I'm spreading them out a little bit. My index finger wraps upwards, and it's not so visible on my foil, but you guys have a curve in your handle that's really visible, and you want that on the inside of your palm. So that curve is going to go right in between your palm and your fingers, facing this way. So it's going to sit right in there. And bending this fingertip upwards just kind of helps give more direction to it and stability. So I'm going to hold this in the proper position the entire time I'm doing my exercises. I actually just realized my fingers are crooked, and it's probably, see how this one goes outwards if I hold them like this. That's probably because I've been fencing for so long. It's just, it's moved this way outwards so I can prop up my foil right in here. Where's the best way to show you guys? So see how it's turned sort of up and inwards apart from these fingers? So this helps support and guide. And now my finger's crooked. So if you're good fencers, someday your finger will be crooked too. Or not. Maybe it's crooked for a different reason. So, on guard stance, my hips and shoulders are over each other facing whichever direction my non-dominant foot is pointing. My dominant foot is going to be pointing towards my opponent, and my knees are bent so that if I'm standing right here and I look over, I can't see my toes. My weapon hand is in that position that I just showed you, and I'm going to hold my arm in sort of a gentle angle. I want my tip of the foil to be about eye level with my opponent, and I'm going to keep my elbow about a fist away from my hip area. So it's just going to be relaxed, and then so shoulders and hips are over each other, turned towards my opponent. My head looks over this shoulder so I can make eye contact with my opponent. My non-weapon hand is away, and my feet are about one step apart from each other. So the distance of your foot is the distance in between your feet. So that's our on-guard stance. Our weight is evenly distributed between both of our feet, and to advance, you just push forward. You want it to be really horizontal in nature, so remember, if you have a beanbag on your head, it's going to stay there because you're only moving from the hips and below. Think about isolating your movements. So I shift some of my weight towards my back leg, and I just lift this foot up and propel myself forward. So you're just pushing. And I come right back to that distance that I started, and now I'm in my on-guard stance again. For retreating, you shift your weight forward a little bit and just push off of that foot. So if you want to do some exercises to help learn how to distribute your weight, you can do the toe heel exercise. So lift up a toe and keep your heel grounded on your right foot. Lift up your heel and keep your toe grounded on your left foot, and just try to balance here. Then switch it. And eventually, my heel is up on this foot, my toe is up on this foot. I'm going to turn them in the same direction. I make a little V. You keep going back and forth. And you can learn how to distribute your weight. The lunge is very similar to the on-guard stance because they all stem from each other. I'm in my on-guard. I have my elbow about a fist away, and the first thing we want to do before we lunge so that we gain right of way is thrust. And the thrust is simply an extension of your weapon arm. So I go from here and I extend. That's the thrust. The lunge is the actual action of attacking forward. So on guard stance, I'm going to push off my back leg and just think about horizontal, propelling myself forward horizontally. So I'm here, I thrust to gain right of way, and I push myself forward. Now in my lunge, my back foot is not rolling, and my front foot is still pointed forwards. When you're in your on guard, your heels are in line with each other. So if I slide my foot back, I'll hit heel to heel. And in my lunge, my foot is still in that line. So I have my arm extended, I'm in my lunge, my back arm, whether I have it up here or down here, is going to extend outwards for counterbalance, and that's a lunge. To recover from a lunge, you guys know from the drills that we have three recoveries. The, regular backwards recovery, you take your front foot where some of your weight is and just push yourself back up into an on-guard stance, same as any other. For my lunge, I can also do a central recovery, So think of a Pop-Tart out of a toaster. You bring both of your feet inwards and back to that distance that they started from the on-guard. So I'll do that again. Lunging, and both feet move inwards at the same time. Then, forward recovery is good if your opponent is moving away from you. So you take your back leg and you just bring it forward, but not too forward. I don't want to end up here because that's really unstable. You want to always return to your on-guard stance distance. Now in my lunge, my head stays completely, horizontal, you could say. So from here to here, I should be able to keep a beanbag on my head very easily. My upper body is not leaning forward or backwards. I'm not changing my, this would be the y-axis. So my x and y stay similar, you could say. Everything is in the same line. I can't see my toe. So my knee is bent not at a 90-degree angle, but pretty close. You want to make sure that you're maximizing that distance. So recover, and I think those are about the basics for this video. I'm not sure how uploading is going to work or if there's a time limit, but those are your basics. So grab a sibling, grab a parent. Exercise is good for you. And I'll see you guys soon.